Yo guys, what is good? Welcome back on the Uncle Sharma channel. Looks like the LAZAR Samardzic deal is over. Finito. Kaput. Khatam. Kalas. It's been building up last few days, and today the confirmation has just come in. This is the tweet by Daniele Mari from Gazzetta. Lazar Samardzic will not be an Inter player. The deal is definitely off. Listening to what is filtering from both sides. Also, confirmation is coming from different sources, Sky Sport, Fabrizio Romano, etc., etc. Last night, our sporting director, Piero Ausilio, was seen dining with the entourage of Marko Arnautovic. And then when he was coming out, he was quickly interviewed by a couple of journalists. And he also confirmed that basically we had an agreement. And then there were several changes on Samardic's part. So after last night, it was kind of clear that this deal was off. There was murmurings that it still could happen. Inter are open to making it happen. Samardzic still wants to make it happen, but in the end, it hasn't happened, and it's a shame. It's a shame because you guys, a lot of people were really, really excited about this player. I did a scout report. Now that scout report is obviously going to be useless for Inter fans, and I put a disclaimer in that scout report as well. If you guys remember at the beginning, I said, you never know. It probably may be useful to fans of other teams, and that's exactly how it's happened in football. It's a crazy, crazy business until you literally have the player in the shirt signing at the club. Pen to paper on the contract. You can't say that a player is yours. And that's exactly what's happened with Samardzic here. It looked like he was ours. Fabrizio Romano even tweeted his famous "Here we go," and now that's fired back, egg on his face. But who's to blame here? I mean, we've talked about it on my previous live streams. I think both parties here are to blame. First of all, Inter. Why the hell did you, schedule the medical when you knew that the deal was not complete? On completely 100% agreed, so now you look like idiots. But then also on Samardic's part, his entourage, as much as we can blame his dad as being the main kind of culprit or the scapegoat of this whole situation, because he's the one who, according to reports, is the one asking for more money for him, more commission for himself, leaving out Rafaela Pimenta, who was the original agent who brokered the deal. And apparently now he's got involved with another agent. So by the end of the day, the player as well, as much as we can blame the entourage, the agents, the dad, whatever, the player has a say in this. And he apparently, to reports, he said to Inter fans and on the streets of Milan when he was staying in Milan that he wants to play for Inter. I don't know, Lazar, did you really, really want to play for Inter? Did you really push your dad or your entourage to get this deal done over the line? Did they really need to push for the commissions, the extra commissions, the extra salary for yourself? You could have easily got that down the line once you start performing well at Inter. You see the salaries we give out there to Hakan, Barella, Frattesi. All of these guys are earning easily double what he would have been earning. So was there that reflection on his career? Now there's also a stain on the player. He's the stories have been coming out about Samardzic in terms of himself as a player. Lots of red flags, to be honest. What he's done in the past when he was at Hertha Berlin to move to Leipzig, and then from Leipzig to move to Udinese. There's reports that even then these guys have been causing issues, forcing moves through, or not turning up to training to force the moves. So you see, there's some red flags there that make me. I'm gutted about losing the player, but you can see like this is the headache that they caused whilst they were signing for Inter. Usually this is the easiest part. Usually it's contract renewals when players and agents start to throw hissy fits and they want more money or they get offers here and there. But when you're signing for a club, especially when you're coming from Udinese to Inter, it's such a big jump, easy jump. Like usually the player and the agents are the ones jumping through the hoops to make the deal happen, whereas these guys seem like they wanted to make Inter jump through hoops to make the deal happen. So imagine down the line, this guy looked like he would have caused issues contract renewal wise, or as soon as he gets some offers from Premier League or somewhere else, he would have been an issue. But at the end of the day, if you look at it from Inter's perspective, you're signing this guy for what it was. The whole deal was around 25 million euros, 4 or 5 million for Fabian up front as the loan, and then 15 million plus bonuses for the redemption. Really, really good deal economically speaking. If this guy performed even a decent level, he already has the hype, decent level performances, puts up a few good numbers. You could have easily doubled your investment here, even if it was going to be a headache, which unfortunately at the moment it's not how I want to think about Inter, because we're turning into bloody a Dortmund or a Ajax, thinking about buying and selling players for profit. But in the financial situation that we are in, that's how we should be thinking. And if they ask for 300k extra in commissions and a bit more salary, should Inter have just taken the L to make the move go through? Because we have Mkhitaryan's contract expiring next year, Sensi'S contract expiring next year. If you had someone like Samardzic here for 1 year adapting and then ready to take on the role next season, your midfield's already sorted for next season. So that long-term planning factor is also missing there. Here, Sempre Inter today, my friend Nima said he had some good sources on this whole deal and situation. So let's read what, according to Sempre Inter, their exclusive is the backstory on how Inter pulled out of these talks with Samardzic. So, as we know, the Serbian underwent his medical examination last Wednesday ahead of the transfer. He came to Milan, Melia Hotel in Milano, nice hotel he was staying at for a few days when everything kicked off. Samardzic never signed the contract with Inter. Reports in Italy state that this is due to the player's entourage asking for higher wages that is higher than already agreed on. So this is where Inter's sticking point was. Everything was agreed on with Pimenta, wages, commissions, everything was done. But Samardzic, Mladen Samardzic, who is his dad, changed the agreement, or tried to change the agreement. And this is because there's a dispute between Pimenta and Mladen Samardzic over the commissions, how they should be shared. And then Serbian media said that the dad says Pimenta never had the authorization to negotiate on his son's behalf. Really, really weird. Therefore, the father argues any deal the Pimenta negotiated is only binding between Inter and Udinese. So this is where, we say, like, why did Inter book the medical if everything wasn't fully agreed? Inter flatly rejected this notion, arguing the negotiations with Pimenta covered Samardic's personal terms too. Sempre Inter can reveal that Inter proceeded with the medical examination despite prior knowledge there were unresolved issues between Samardic's entourage and the agent, Pimenta. So yeah, this is where Inter's fault definitely lies. According to the same Serbian report, Samardzic asked for new financial terms. This after the disagreement with Pimenta became known. He asked for new terms both for his son and his client, client, as well for himself. So, he wanted more commission for himself and more wages for his son. Subsequently, Inter made it abundantly clear that they were not renegotiating any terms. Inter have been very staunched on this, very, very firm. The agreement that we had with Pimenta, Udinese, by the way, have been amazing throughout this. The Pozzo family, they've got good relationship with Marotta. They've actually been pushing Samardzic to make the deal happen. Apparently, they've not been happy with Samardzic and his entourage. So no problems with Udinese. The whole problem is with the Samardzic end. Last Saturday, August 12th, the Nerazzurri gave Lazar, Samardzic and entourage 48 hours to honor the agreement. Sempre Inter understands that Samardzic entourage today, once again, Inter communicated there were only two options to make the deal happen. Either Samardzic signs the contract on the table or the deal is off, with the father declining the offer. As a result, Inter consider the matter closed. Sempre Inter learn. Therefore, Samardzic returns to Udinese, who will now do let's see what happens with this guy. I wouldn't be surprised if Juve are involved in this, or maybe Lazio, that, since they sold Milinkovic-Savic, or Napoli, although they get in Gabri Vega, or they were talking about West Ham, where, rumored to be wanting to sneak into the deal as well. So let's see what happens with Samardzic now. It'll be painful to see him, definitely, if he goes to another Serie A team. At this point, it's clear. sorry for Fabian in this whole situation, because he was supposed to go to Udinese, and I think that would have been a good deal for him for his development. And we also had a buyback clause of around 12 million euros. So like if he started to perform well, we had control over his future, which was fantastic. So now let's see what happens with poor Fabian. I think Udinese would have been a good team to go to under Sottil, who seems to be good at developing young players. What now? What now? Well, basically, looks like Inter have to keep the young, well, not young anymore, he's 28, but the sweet prince, my sweet prince, Stefano Sensi. Is it one last dance, guys? Is it time for the one last Stefano Sensi dance? Last year of his contract, last chance saloon for Sensi at Inter, because that's what the reports were saying, that if this Samardzic deal falls through, Inter are just going to keep Sensi as the sixth midfielder. And the way preseason has been going, if you had to pick one standout performer from preseason, guys, who would it be? Probably Stefano, right? Probably Sensi. He has been, even though he has had limited minutes, he's probably been our best performer. But as always with Sensi, one main question remains. Well, two questions, but the one big one we always know is around his fitness. Can Stefano Sensi be trusted? Up until now, his career, he's 28 years of age. There hasn't been one season where the answer to that question has been yes, unfortunately. And I don't have to keep repeating myself over and over. Stefano Sensi, the player, I love the player. He is the closest I've got to getting a name at the back of a Inter shirt. Those first couple of months under Conte, him, Barella, Brozovic, midfield, I fell in love instantly. But objectively speaking, he has just not been reliable. However, as his agent said the other day, coming out of Inter HQ, Beppe Rizzo, Gagliardini's agent, Carlos Augusto's agent, he also hinted to the fact that Inter are happy with his performances in preseason and are potentially looking to keep Sensi. And as he himself said, last season, he did play about 30 games with Monza. And if you look at his injury record from last season, the real big one injury he had was a impact injury. This is not one of his usual muscular injury, which was the big problem with Sensi is his muscular injuries. He keeps getting little tears or little strains, just can't seem to stay fit. Nothing like usually anything major, but just little issues that keep him out for a few weeks every single time as soon as he comes back. But last season, aside from the big impact injury, a fibula fracture, it was really, really bad injury. I remember watching that game live and he was in tears because it was quite a painful injury. According to now, this is the thing with Transfermarkt as well. I know for a fact that this wasn't the only injury he had last season, because I remember he signed for Monza, and then actually before the Monza's first game of the season, I remember quite distinctly that he had to miss that game because of a small injury. That's the thing with Sensi. There's always a little, like, it might not be like, oh, he's out of the squad or like he's completely unfit. It's just like, oh, the last training session before the game, he had some pain, or his hamstring, he just had like a bit of pain in his hamstring or his calf. And these injuries usually are not even recorded by Transfermarkt. You see it here, it doesn't even show there. But then if you also look at his time at Sampdoria, you could say that there wasn't anything too concerning. Missed 4 games at Sampdoria in total. Only one muscular injury. Well, actually, abdominal influenza, that's also muscular, isn't it? So it does look like he has become a little bit more reliable, but can we really bank on him? I don't know. But at the same time, now that the Samardzic deal is off, that was supposed to be, a 20-25 million euro deal. Keeping Sensi as a sixth, that means that his sixth midfielder in theory doesn't need to have too many minutes as well. Like, this is the Gagliardini position, so to say. So what an upgrade that is in terms of Gagliardini going from Gagliardini to Sensi. But at the same time, Gagliardini, the one thing we have to give to Gaglia is that he was reliable in terms of injury. Anyone else was injured, but this guy would have been most of the time. This guy was fit. When Vecino was out, when Vidal was out, this guy would be the one that's always was fit. So that's what the sixth midfielder needs to be. He has to be available if Frattesi, Barella, Hakan, or someone. And that's the thing with Sensi, he can play all of those three roles in midfield, but also he can also play one of the striker roles. We've said, we only saw that one time, that 3-5-1-1. We played Genoa into Genoa 4-0, first game of the season, Inzaghi's first ever game. And then after that, we never saw it again. And then Inzaghi, does Inzaghi trust him? Because we've seen him since Inzaghi's been at Inter, he's been loaned out twice. Inzaghi preferred to get Felipe Caicedo in that January, the first year, and then loan Sensi out to Sampdoria rather than keeping Sensi and trying to convince him to stay on. Because there's no way Inzaghi can't be a fan of him technically, because technically this guy you can't discuss him. He's as I've said in the past, to me, he sits on the same table as Verratti and Barella in terms of talented Italian midfielders. There's pure talent and ability. So Inzaghi either has defensive doubts about him in terms of playing him as a mezzala and being able to do the defensive work, or physically just doesn't trust him to be there, ready, available. But he needs to make use of this resource if we do keep him, and I hope he does. And maybe one last dance, it might be the finally Stefano Sensi season, and we all need to get together in a group, guys. We need to do a prayer circle for Stefano Sensi if he does remain at Inter. Do you believe in Sensi? Do you believe in his muscles, in his body? Let me know in the comments down below. And let me know what you make of this whole Samardzic drama, this circus. Once again, Inter in the middle of it. Absolutely embarrassing. We don't need any more bad PR, but we keep getting it. And of course, let's see how this money is spent. Once again, Inter, you cannot finish the Mercato with just Marco Arnautovic. You have money to spend. We know you have at least 30 to 40 million available to spend, especially now that we're not spending this on Samardzic. A centre-back, another striker, need to get rid of Tucu Correa or invest heavy in the centre-back position. The money is there. I want to see it spent. It needs to be spent, because otherwise this has been a disastrous transfer window. Let me know your thoughts down below, guys. You know what to do. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and always Forza Inter, Forza Stefano Sensi, right?